Alright, we're in exercise 10 now, and I'm beginning to think that the writers of the book ran out of ideas because it's getting really repetitive. It's asking for basically the same thing as the last two exercises with two decisions and two loops, only this time we're going about the process of wrapping a gift. So this is one possible interpretation of the solution. And I've got pseudocode, I've got the code written up here for a program that I'll show you in a minute, and a flowchart. So let's scroll around that for a minute. Feel free to pause at any time. But let's get started with the pseudocode. So we've got start, output, we're going to make sure the present is actually wrapped. Decision, we're going to validate here and make sure we enter something that's correct. And then if decision is equal to no, or it is equal to no, lowercase n, output, press enter to begin. This was kind of explained in the other problem, just giving you an option to press enter and it'll start. So now we've got a nested for loop here, so it's going to start with this outer for loop, checking for sides. The max sides are 6, and each side is going to have 3 pieces of tape. So it's going to run once through this. We're going to say side 1, then it's going to say, tape is starting at 0, doesn't exceed max tape, increment by 1. So then it's going to say tape piece 1 applied, tape piece 2 applied, tape piece 3 applied, then it's going to say press enter to work on the next side. And we only need, like if we're going to code this out, we only need that. We don't need to have the ignore, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then it's going to go back and it'll say side 2, tape piece 1, 2, 3, side 3, and so on until it gets to 6. And then we in the loops. But if our decision up here, it is wrapped, then we say, hey, your present's already wrapped. And now we're going to make sure it's not ripped. And so we've got, our validation for entry. Make sure you don't enter like a comma, which would make sense. And then we're going to check for that decision. If it's yes, well, wrap it again. Unless that's your thing. I mean, that's sort of our thing in the family. We wrap gifts really, really horribly, and it's hilarious. We all have a good time laughing. But if you don't have any rips, well done. And this is that module, that validate entry that we call to. And it's basically just checking to make sure you have a Y or an int that's been entered. Otherwise, it won't let you enter anything else. And so let's go look at the pseudocode here. That's the module. It's going to keep going around and around until you put one of these in there. Then we've got start, checking for the present being wrapped. If it is wrapped, then we go off in this direction, checking for it being ripped. If it's not wrapped, then we have that for loop, a nested for loop, goes around for tape, comes back around for the sides, tape, sides, and now it's finished. So is it ripped? Validate entry. If it is, wrap again. If it's not, then that should say output, good job. And that's basically the pseudocode there or the flowchart for the pseudocode. And let's look at the program. So you can see I've declared this variable here outside of the main function, and then we've got this module here that we're going to be able to call because I don't want to write this out a billion times, and instead I just want to enter this one simple line. So inside of the main function we're declaring variables. I'm assuming this would be what you would call like a global variable, and this would be local. Don't quote me on that. I'm getting a little hazy in the head right now, so I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but that's what I imagine it would mean. So decision, validate the entry. If it's not wrapped, then we've got our for loops in here. Just take a good look at that. We do have ignore and get here, so we can hit enter to continue. The reason ignore is there because typically when you just have this, it will not, it'll start to run this. It'll go through this once. And I want it to stop right after press enter to begin. The reason why I only have cn.get here is because it seems to work like it doesn't go to the next thing when it's inside of some form of curly brace here. So that's how it's sort of like not moving on to the next thing. That's what I'm assuming. And then else, your present is already wrapped, and then we check for it being ripped, validate entry, and then we've got, our decision here. If it's ripped, wrap again. If not, well done. So let's go ahead and run it real fast. Seven. Ooh, here we go. Okay, so let's check real fast that it is, okay, it is wrapped. No, well done. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap that present. No, it's not. All right, on the next side, side 2, side 3, side 4, side 5, side 6. Is it ripped anywhere? Yes. Gotta wrap it again. So you can see how it works. Pretty sure that, yep, validate entries inside of those questions. So yeah, that's not necessarily as difficult as the last problem, but it's still a little bit complicated. And I'll scroll down to the pseudocode. So anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.